Saturday, June 6th, 2026, about 4 a.m. in the morning, and got a good one today. This one, talking about relationships, and really not talking about the dual mating strategy, but I'll just reinforce what the dual mating strategy is. You want to be the alpha bang and not the beta male provider. You definitely don't want to be a beta male, because that's what this one's about today. This one today, the criminal case I'm going to cover, is this one can save your life. I'm being serious. It's not hyperbolic. I don't have to be hyperbolic. I'm not trying to, I just want to help guys and, make sure that, men are not losing their lives. This definitely is that serious. Again, not hyperbolic. And we're going to talk about I saw it today. Brendan Banfield, he got sentenced today. He got life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge, apparently, in his case, it's the au pair trial, or au pair affair trial. Brendan Banfield was having an affair with his Brazilian au pair, and we'll get into it. But the judge, she was the same judge in the Johnny Depp case. She's very good, by the way. I think she's retiring. She is like wicked smart and measured. And I suggest to go watch the sentencing, the statement she gives him. And he was wicked. He's diabolical, and we'll get into it. But she said the crime you committed here it was in Virginia, in the Commonwealth, and states are sometimes called Commonwealth because they're supposed to do, they're supposed to be, Commonwealth is supposed to be for the good of the citizen. Commonwealth, it's just a fancy name for state. But the Commonwealth of Virginia abolished the death penalty, and she said for your crime that you were convicted of, you would be sentenced to death. Had Virginia Commonwealth not abolished the death penalty. So she said, I want you to know how serious your crime is, sir. And all I can do is give you life in prison without the possibility of parole, and that's what you're going to get. So, and he rightfully deserves it. So anyway, so what is it? And just, this one's going to be I'm going to try to make it as short as I can. But I want to make sure we get the lessons in. And before I trigger anybody, we're going to be talking about sexuality. So if sexuality bothers you, or any young kids in the room, we are going to be talking about sexuality. So, but it's going to be in a way that can save your life, I think. And but first, let's reiterate: the beta male is the most dangerous man you'll ever meet. And you need to kill the beta before the beta kills you. That means kill the beta inside you and watch out for the betas around you. But you got to kill that beta in you so that weakness does not expose you to things. So anyway, so what is the Brendan Banfield, Juliana Margulies, and Christine Banfield? Those are our characters. So Christine Banfield and Brendan Banfield were married. Okay, they're about, I think Brendan Banfield about 40. Christine, I know, was 37 prior to her murder. And they had a 4-year-old daughter. I believe her name was Valerie. I think so. But obviously a precious little girl. Anyway. So, and then Brendan Banfield was an IRS federal agent. So the IRS does have an enforcement wing. I'm a Houston police officer, retired, 22 years. I did work with some of their, just a couple times, but they do investigate, like, big time. They do big time seizures and criminals, so they got to go in and do raids, and they're law enforcement officers. So just like the postal office has postal inspectors, and so anyway, they got federal agents too. So, but anyway, so and they're legit. They do big time investigations. How'd they get Al Capone? Tax evasion, So they deal with some big time crooks. So, but anyway, so that's sometimes the easiest way to get them, But so he was a federal law enforcement officer, I guess, with the IRS. He carried a weapon, and his wife, Christine, was a registered nurse, and I believe she worked the intensive care unit. I think it was the neonatal unit, the babies. And she did the night shift, so they kind of worked, different shifts. So they needed a babysitter. Now, we're going to talk about some red pill facts, red pill laws. Or just, sexual selective laws, right? Now, sometimes I think we live in a Disney world, and we have, so for example, we have adult male coaches. Like there was recently one where an adult male coach was coaching a girls basketball team, and we're surprised he's sleeping with one of the players. Yeah, about a 40-year-old man sleeping with a young 22-year-old or what, whatever. We're surprised, right? And be careful on these au pairs. This is and I've kind of made a joke about the au pair thing because right up when this trial came out, I was talking to a guy on one of my sports teams, and he was going through something, and I just had met him. I just kind of struck up some conversations. Oh man, what's going on, man? What's good? Whatever, And he's like, yeah, getting divorced. Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible, He's like, yeah, I slept with a babysitter. I'm like, oh, so, and then this was going on. And I heard another case where another deal was going on. It's like, okay, I think that's the way to get you a young girlfriend is have a kid and, get you a babysitter, But it makes sense. Juliana Margulies. So basically, Brendan Banfield and, Christine Banfield, they're looking for an au pair. That means like a foreign, person. Usually it's a woman. Foreign person comes in and they babysit your child, right? And they live with you, like a nanny, right? But you're going to have a young Brazilian, 22-year-old, living in your house with your husband. He's her boss, you're not there all the time. That is a bad, ladies, this is how, because I do this for ladies and guys, Ladies, do not do that. Do not do au pair. If there's a guy au pair, yes. Your husband probably won't want that, but don't, do regular daycare. Make it work. But you cannot have, I think that cannot, especially a young girl. And here's the thing. We've talked about this, and we're going to get into several different, this might be a little long, but we're going to get into several lessons. But if you have a young girl living in your house, that's, peak sexual market value for a woman is about 22 to 23. So, it's most guys, most guys want a girl around 22, 23 years old. That's when a woman's hitting her peak. That's when she has the most sexual selection, right? So this is what Brendan Banfield has in his house living with him, right? And he's 40 years old, And his wife was pretty. Christine's pretty. She seemed like an awesome lady too. We want to respect her, honor her. We always honor our victims, and they're wonderful people. Unfortunately, there always seem to be wonderful people too. Seriously, that's not just a lip service, right? But yeah. So, but the difference between so men, they've done these status studies. Men will see a hot chick at, McDonald's, and she's 21, 22, whatever, and she's beautiful, right? And he'll want to, wife her up and take care of her. Or how about the 22-year-old hairstylist that's cutting his hair, right? He'll want to wife her up and, take care of her, right? Because men, we like to take care. We like to be daddies. We like to take care and protect. We like to care and protect. We want to show our wisdom and our experience, And we enjoy that, and girls like that. Girls love to be led by a good, good, wise man. You know what I'm saying? So, and we don't really care. So women tend to be shapeshifters, which is good. They'll tend to shapeshift to us, right? To the man, and that's how it's supposed to be. And men, to a certain degree, keep, they burn slowly, allegedly, Now, men tend to keep their looks or whatever longer, like the Marlboro Man, or, like Clint Eastwood, the rugged old man is, still sexy, according to ladies, Pierce Brosnan in his 50s was like the most handsome man. Brad Pitt was in his 50s. He's still making the, most handsome man, whatever, But, so, men tend to hold on to their, appearance a little longer than women. Now, doesn't mean that women don't think that, young men are sexier, whatever that could be. But women also need the behavior factor, and young men don't have the experience, the wisdom, women want to be guided, a 22-year-old man, for him to guide a woman who's been through, a divorce and, maybe a death in the family, he's not going to know, how to lead her through that. Like a guy, we know how to lead people through that, right? We may, like myself, it's like, one thing that, at me at 50, is we have calm confidence, but we don't have arrogance, because anybody at 50 has had their dick kicked in the dirt badly. If you've been humbled, if you made it to 50 without getting seriously humbled and know that, you ain't king of the world and the world will do a number on you if you get too arrogant. It is true. And that's usually a difference between a younger person and an older person to a certain degree is, the amount they've been humbled, right? But moving along, so that's why having a young girl in your house as opposed to having a young man in your house is worse. You're basically, you got a bear, with a fresh piece of salmon. That's what, Patrice O'Neill used to say, is like they have these salmon that come into work every day, these hot ladies, right? So do not do that. It's a recipe for disaster. It's like, anyway, but yeah, that's what's going on here. This girl's cute, she's got energy, and that's kind of, it's a lesson to be learned is, I was doing my research for the story today, and I was watching, they were showing some of the Instagram posts that Juliana Margulies, she's 22 from Brazil, she's the au pair. And I feel really bad for her. She's got she came straight from Brazil. She wasn't even, she's not a citizen. She just, she was going to be here for 2 years and then go back home. She's trying to make a living for her family. Her family was not rich. And and she's a cute young thing, but they're sitting there singing a song, and I can't remember what song it is. It was it's pretty lame, but we've all done some lame things, but it was a good time. Like they were having a good time. It's like some love song, but I can't, but it was kind of uppity, and it was like, anyway, and they're both singing it, and they're like, I don't know, like, we love you, or I don't know. It was a little chorus, and, and Brendan Banfield, who really stoic, he's been very stoic it's kind of weirdly stoic, during the whole trial, and, didn't even shed any tears, even when they were talking about his wife's murder. So, which was weird, and we'll get into that. But anyway, so, but yeah, so what did Christine Margulies? She took a deal from the state, and I think she got 10 years. Now, anyway, we'll get but she was saying that Brendan Banfield, she was saying, what was his. Did he give you an opinion of his wife? That's what they asked her. And she said, yeah, she was kind of, didn't pay attention to him, didn't care where he was, because they carried on this affair for probably, I think they meet in August 2022, so they carried on this affair a couple months, if you don't know, they were going on trips together, and, and that does happen to some wives and husbands. It's like they're living as roommates, and they just kind of lose interest in each other, and that's what hear the growing apart thing, or and you hear a lot about that. We just lived as roommates, and you do have. I'm not trying to speak ill of the dead, but if you're not properly what Lauren Schlesinger, she's a real good. Look at this book. It's a really good book. It's called The Care and Feeding of Husbands. It's a very good book. Laura Schlesinger. My mom used to listen to her. Dr. Laura Schlesinger. She used to let ladies have it on the radio. She was like pre-red pill. But she would go in hard on ladies. The book's great. The Care and Feeding of Husbands is what it's called. I recommend it by Dr. Laura Schlesinger. And, And she basically was saying in her book is right in the beginning is if you're not going to care for your husband, if you're not going to wear lingerie, if you're not going to look sexy, if you're not going to get on your knees and give him a BJ, when he gets home on certain days, and you expect him to be faithful, you got another thing coming, ladies, what she would say, Now, she's not saying you have to do that. I don't think it's a duty to have sex with your husband. It's not. I know a lot of guys are like, it's your duty, And I used to kind of be part of that crowd when I was beta male. I've changed, but no, a woman needs to, it's not the woman. I was thinking this today. It's not the woman, and it's not her body, and it's not her, they want to say, you want this pussy. Yeah. It's not that we want. We want her desire. That's what we're having sex with. We're having sex with the desire portion. If we are given, an average body or even a little overweight body, as opposed to a killer body, but the slightly lesser attractive body has enthusiasm and has desire for us. That's what we're aroused by. That's what makes us, a lot of guys say, I'm good in bed. You're only as good in bed as you are the female's arousal. Because if she's not aroused, you ain't nothing happening. Dude, trust me, I've had enough, interactions with women, sexual relations with women to know, when I'm on the money, it's when they're turned on. So the sexual attraction, the sexual arousal, the sex act almost has to be done by the time they reach your house, Because if you get the right girl and she's aroused by you, right, dude, by the time she's hitting the door, you're putting, a little touch to it, she's blasting off, So anyway, but you can have a woman for hours, this actually did happen to me. I don't want to talk too long, but I met a chick in a different city, and she was beautiful. She's like a fitness model, dude. She was about 40, but she was like the fitness competitor. She was. I'm not trying to flex. It was just, dude, I was like, all right. So I drove 2 hours to go meet her, and 2.5, and we had talked for like a week. And anyway, I kind of messed some things up, but after I get it all settled, she's razzed about, shit. But anyway, long story short, is I could just tell she ain't into it. She's fucking gorgeous too. And, I kind of got my ego hurt. I did. And I stopped halfway in the middle. I was like, I'm out. She was beautiful. And, it's one of those that you're not going to forget, like, but, yeah, so anyway, but yeah, my ego got into it anyway, but again, she wasn't having it. She wasn't really, I could tell she wasn't into it. I was like, I'm out, and, it wasn't my most proudest moment. We all have those. That's a humble moment, it taught me. But anyway, I digress a little bit, but it's to teach you, right? So, Juliana Margulies, she originally was, working, doing her job, making $200 a week, so $800 a month. She's sending money back home she's living rent free and, food free, and, she, at one point, she's on dating apps, and she's doing the dating apps. She's, from Brazil, doing the dating apps here in America, and, and then so one day, I guess, this beta male, Brandon Banfield's a freaking beta male. He's a quintessential beta male, right? So, he's probably been trying to work this angle, for a while, and he's like looking at her dating apps, and supposedly he sees one, he's like, oh, that's describing me, It really wasn't, But anyway, but you have several factors, right? You have number one, the age. Girls like that, he's their daddy, they were doing very well for themselves. She's a registered nurse. He's a federal agent. They do very well. They're making, 150, nurse is making probably 100. They're making 250 together. That's $250,000 a year. You're in the top 1% of income earners. They had a nice home, a nice suburban area. This girl's coming from, and I'm not talking crap. She's coming from Brazil. She doesn't have money. That was verified in the public record. And so, she's probably impressed a little bit by his status, his money, again, but that doesn't get her aroused, But, and he's her boss. And I'll tell you this, that does women, and again, that's why you put her in a bad position, because now you got this 22-year-old girl, now you've got the highest sexual market value, And you also have her stimulated because he's her boss. And women are attracted to status. They're attracted to the boss. You know, why do you think Bill Clinton got so, you know, and, you know, I dated a subordinate. It's terrible sometimes because, you know, usually your, you know, organizations don't like that. And they, you know, so anyway, you kind of got to hide it. Anyway, it creates drama. But again, you know, and that's why this 40-year-old man who's in this kind of I would probably argue sexless marriage. I would probably argue that, you know, Christine's working late at night, you know, and overnight, and they're not seeing each other. They got a child. That's kind of when these things start happening. So, you know, when he's got this perky little 22-year-old, she's in sexual prime, you know, she's in her hoe phase, you know, so 304 phase, and you know, and she's got this older man and now, you know, so they hook up, you know. It was August of 2022 is what she said. They hook up, and the au pair and Brendan Banfield, you know, start hooking up, you know, going into her room and doing, you know, and, you know, I guess having sex, you know, behind the wife's back, you know, Christine's back, you know. And what's a beta male going to do though now? Beta males, number one, what do I say they are? They're shapeshifters, they're manipulators, they don't have a boundary, they don't have a square that they stand on. So, you know, they blow in the wind, whatever makes them feel good, you know, whatever making me feel good, whatever's gratifying, so, you know, whatever, you know, impulse I can satisfy. That's why beta males, like, are so dangerous, you know. And what they do is they want to manipulate to get stuff is because they don't have the, you know, the respect. They don't have, because they've done this their whole life, they don't have the command of, you know, the world, that they can just get what they want by, you know, normal processes. They think they have this, you know, truth in them, and it could be a false truth, that they've got to manipulate situations, you know, to get what they want. So what do? They look for, you know, just like the other day I talked about, you know, the puppet master needs a puppet, you know, and that's kind of what a beta male does. If he's trying to get into a situation and he wants control of the situation, what he's going to do, he's going to look for ways to manipulate you, right? And what's the law? I'm not going to remember the right law. I think it's law 19, but it's find every man's thumb screw, or every man's thumb screw. But basically the thumb screw is every man has a gap in the castle wall. Every man has a weakness, right? And when you find that weakness, you turn it like a thumb screw. You know, sometimes it's a secret pleasure. Sometimes it's a, you know, psychological weakness. Sometimes it's insecurity, you know. Like, let's say your boss, one day, a buddy of mine, we'll say no names, but, you know, he got into a division in my police department because one of the higher ups liked to play tennis. I hope he doesn't listen to this because he'll know who he is. But he went, that's a secret pleasure. The guy liked tennis. So he manipulated the guy. He ended up getting into the division. Please don't, the statute of limitations are off by that. And he's the baddest dude you'll ever meet. He is. But he's good at that. He's not, this guy is a great friend of mine, but he's one of the type of guys. He ain't no beta male because he's the type of guy that goes out and girls throw their number at him. Literally. You will feel like most guys aren't like that. Most guys, we got to approach, you know, even if we're handsome, you know, we're sexy, you know, we got to do approach, and, you know, once we approach, you know, who, me? And yeah, you're sexy, but him, dude, you'll feel ugly around him because they approach him, literally. I've been around him. I'm like, dude, you feel ugly around him. Anyway, but anyway, he's super nice guy, but no, and you know, but he can play the part of a beta male. You know, not everybody can do that, but beta males have to play that part or feel like they do, right? But what they do is they watch for your weaknesses. They watch for where you're, just like in seduction. They say in seduction, a seducer needs a victim, you know? And so if you're not willing to be a victim, I can't seduce you. And so seduction, you know, if you get The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene, he also wrote The 48 Laws of Power. It's a good book. And seduction is not only about sex, it's about commercials. You can seduce people in the commercial, you can seduce people in like political parties, you know. You know, it's not only sexual. So, but you have to be like, you can't get me to buy a new car if I've already got a new car, but didn't want to wake up the felonious homeless people. God damn, that's one bad thing about living downtown. Anyway, they're everywhere. But anyway, we'll move on. We'll talk about that. That's some other day. But yeah. But yeah. So where was? Oh yeah. So beta males, they're always looking for an angle to control you. And that's what Brendan Banfield, he was good at. But a little weasel. They're weaselly. It's not like they're doing it out of strength. They're looking a way to screw you. And they're finding a gap in your castle wall. Whereas a seducer who, whatever. Okay, but anyway, beta males are weaselly when they do it. That's why they're dangerous. That's why they're dangerous. But anyway, so yeah, so I will watch out for traffic real quick. But anyway, get over here. But so yeah, so Brendan Banfield has now fallen in love, and that what I also say about beta males, and that's why they're dangerous, why they kind of kill the beta in you is, more over here. You got to kill the beta in you because you can't live in scarcity mindset. There's an abundance out here of people. There's abundance of women. But he, as a insecure beta male does, is he thinks that this is the only 22-year-old that'll ever sleep with him. And being with his mindset, yeah. I mean, he's a weak fella. Now he needs to improve his mindset. He needs to get in the gym. Blah, blah, blah. We talk about all that. But, he hasn't touched a piece of 22-year-old vagina in forever. And I'm telling you, y'all, I mean, I told you it's going to be about sexuality, but 22-year-old vagina is different than his wife's 37-year-old vagina that's had a baby. Now, not saying that, now his wife can get after it and, and she can pull some skills. And as long as her desire and her enthusiasm is higher than a 22-year-old, she can beat out the 22-year-old. I'm just saying, but there are some biological, now that I'm 50, and, when you're in your 20s, and I remember I was like in my, mid-20s, and, you pretty much at that point in my mid-20s, I dated 25 and younger. And then at that point, I started dating, I'd say, up to 40 to, whatever. And you start dating older women, you're like, whoa, things change in the body. I'm just saying, it's not bad. I'm not bad. I don't want to flame on women, but anyway, and men too. I mean, youth has an advantage to it, right? It's coming, but anyway, hopefully it won't affect us too much. But anyway, so yeah, so he's now fallen in love with Juliana Margulies from Brazil, 22-year-old Brazilian, and a 40-year-old, federal agent guy who now thinks he's king. I'm telling you, he was feeling like on cloud nine. Now, what he needed to do, if he bossed up, what he should have done if he was alpha or whatever, number one, he could have done one of two things. Okay, and I'm telling this for you guys. This is what I want you guys to get out of this, right? Because this might happen to you, right? And it might not even be a younger woman. It might be a higher woman that one you're dealing with or whatever. You have a choice. He can now dump this girl, right? And say, you know what? I need to go back and be with my wife, or I need to divorce my wife, and do that right. Get rid of this girl because this is an abundance mindset. I was able to get this one. I can get another one, But he thinks this is the less scarcity mindset. He thinks this is the last one on earth. So he needs to hold on tight. So what he's going to do, he's going to try to control. So he tries to control her. He's Mr. Control over her. And he fell in love. They read some notes that he was writing to her. Oh my God, they are sappy. They are sappy. Go look at his cross-examination. Brendan Banfield, go look at his cross-examination, and you'll see a beta male that's fallen in love with a 22-year-old Brazilian. And I can understand that. But it does show his beta-ness, right? But yeah, so, or he needs to boss up, and, if he's this much in love, he at some point you got to realize, believe me, I've been through it. That's how I know this stuff. I was a beta at one point. I kicked that beta's ass when I was about 42. I kicked that beta. I'm now 50, but it took me a long time. I didn't realize it, right? But I didn't have people like me, on YouTube telling me not to do this crap, But anyway, so, and I'm hoping to help you guys. But yeah, yeah, you need to boss up and say, hey, I'm in love. He was clearly in love. He's going on trip. I mean, he had fallen head over heels, and maybe it was infatuation again, but he needed to tell his wife, this is it, this is done, and I need to get a divorce, whatever. That's what a man does, what the alpha does. But he wanted it all. You cannot, nowhere in this world, and Jocko Willink had said it, and can't remember who he quoted, but he said, the world is about trade-offs. If you want a big house, sometimes you can't have a nice car. If you want a nice car, you can't have a bigger house. If you want, a nice car, nice motorcycle, smaller house, whatever. You want 5 kids, you got to get a smaller house. I mean, life's about trade-offs. I mean, it is, right? So, you want this, 22-year-old girl and the Brazilian, you're going to have to, get divorced and, work out child support. But this beta male, he wants to control the world. He was not willing to get a divorce. That's what the 22-year-old Brazilian au pair said. And she had fallen in love with him too, and and I know people are going to disagree with this, but I put it on him. Men are leaders. Women are shapeshifters, as they should be. Women can follow a man's leadership. When they fall in love with him again, they are soldiers. And I love that about them, right? And that's in a respectful way, So, she did participate in this murder, right? So what ends up happening is, he doesn't want to get a divorce. And he does not want to share custody at all. Now that is a control freak beta male from hell. So how are you going to get this done? Well, the beta male, what have I said, y'all? And this corroborates what I say. They're the most dangerous man you'll ever deal with. Because what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to control the situation to where he gets primary custody, all custody, and he doesn't have to get a divorce. So what's he got to do? He's got to murder his wife. That's the logical plan for a beta male. And I'm telling you, that was his plan. So that's what they come up with. And he says this while they're on a trip in New York. And actually, here's another thing too that's funny. I don't say funny, but the 22-year-old Brazilian had kind of started getting tired of him. She was kind of like, you know what, you are kind of beta. I don't think you're as cool as you used to be. But again, the beta starts realizing he's losing control and he's about to lose her. So now he knows, I gotta pull the trigger. And I had a similar thing happen to me when I was beta. I know this dangerous man because I was and I was dating 2 girls at once, and they were both long-term relationships, both awesome women. But I was living 2 lives, and it was so, don't ever do this. It was so stressful. But one was married. Again, beta male move. You're dating a married person. That's the easiest thing to do, because usually married people are miserable. So but it was easy to deal with her because she had a husband, so she was busy. So we'd see each other. I had a girl, and then I would go be with my other, but then she got a divorce. So then I had to make a move, which I bossed up, became, that's when I started changing for the better, because I had been through hell. I told you that your life will humble you. So I went to the girl that got divorced. I ended up going with her, and I told the other girl, I said, hey, look, I made a choice, and I made the right choice. But, I said, we need to break up, and, because, I'm going to, it was horrible, but I bossed up. I didn't murder anybody. It never came out of my mouth. It never came into my thoughts, ever. And I just don't know how you get there, but hey, you get there. I mean, obviously people do, and that's the danger about beta male, right? But yeah, so he cooks up a plan. Now he wants to he thinks, and again, I want to warn guys that think that they're gonna, whether it's a theft, any kind of crime, whether it's a con, whether it's a, even a murder, and hopefully not that, but you cannot control a situation enough to control every variable. And this Brendan Banfield, a lot of beta males that lack insight, meaning they lack the ability to see how the world sees them, and he clearly does. I'll get into that, but He thinks he can control this whole situation. So the plan he comes up with is that they get on what's called FetLife. FetLife is a kink website. And here I told you, trigger alert. If anyone doesn't like sexual stuff, get off right now. And I'm not going to be nasty, but we got to get into it because it's part of the case, But he gets on a kink website called FetLife.com, and whether your kink, I guess, is bondism or brat or I don't know what all of them are, but threesome, maybe it's group. I don't know. I have no idea. But so he gets on FetLife, and this is his plan. He says that his wife, and okay. Anyway, his wife's fantasy is, and so they make a fake account. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. But they make a fake account for his wife, Christine. How diabolical. So they're catfishing guys, and they get a picture of her in a bathing suit, and they name it Anastasia 9 or whatever. And they go on FetLife, and they start reaching out to guys. This is what, be careful, guys. And this is what, they'll stop at this moment to say, this is why this is important to save lives, is, guys, that's what's going on right now. I'm not saying this to this level, but dating apps are not safe anymore. I don't think they are. I mean, I really don't, because, and one of the ways I know is because, number one, is I saw the way it was going for me, and, I had tons of success on it before. And nothing has changed really in my life other than, but what I noticed is I have a female friend, and, she was meeting so many guys. I mean, she's an awesome person. Trust me, she is. I met her on dating app, but then we didn't work out, and so we remained awesome friends. And she's an awesome person. We call each other BFFs, and we don't have sex anymore. But in men and women can be friends if the man has decided not to have sex with her anymore. So, and that's the way it is, because, I want her to go off and do her thing. So, but we are still, great friends. And, she told me about all her escapades, stuff like that. But I would say in the last year, she has met she can't hardly meet anybody. And the ones she meets are diabolical losers. And so when a woman can't find a dude, she was having 4 or 5 dates a week, and now she's lucky. This is nothing against her. Is that, and I'm telling her, and she's realizing it now, she needs to get off, because for example, the other day, again, I won't say her name, but, she would meet a guy, and he's like, they're meeting at a restaurant or something like that, already be a dumb idea. We don't do dinners, but, the guy's in the parking lot, and he's like, hey, do you mind if I jack off before I go into the restaurant? Because he was waiting on her. And she's like, yeah. And she didn't let him know that she was parking right next to him. She didn't let him know. She kind of saw his car. And she's watching the dude jack off in his car. That's okay, but I'll leave it there. And but again, that's what you're dealing with. That is delusion. That is deviance. There's nothing sexy about that. He needs to know that. There's no game in that. Women don't get turned on by that. Now, if she likes you and finds you sexy, women love to watch you whack off. But she's got to know you. She's got to feel like you're sexy. She's, you got to kind of, whatever. But now she's just getting to know you, And really, she didn't think you was that sexy. She just was bored, Anyway, but again, that's to say, they're becoming hunting grounds for, I think, beta male providers and women that are looking to be attention whores. That right now. That's you got to get off of them. They're down 90% of value, and I'm going to leave it at that. But the reason I say that is because a lot of people, and again, I got another friend, and it's a guy friend, but he's out there dating. He came over a couple weeks ago, and we get together once in a while. We'll talk, we'll shoot the crap, and because men need to get together. And he was, he's telling me about it, because you don't want, you want a man to sort out your dating problems, stuff like that. If you're having frustrations, don't tell a woman or your mama, But so he was on this new dating app that's called like Field or something like that, and it's like a sexual exploration site, And what it's turned out to be is everyone's figured out we're smart animals. Humans are smart animals. So guys have kind of gone, and that's what he was saying. He kind of went to this, and he's like, it's supposed to be women exploring like groups, threesomes, bondism, not so much like fet life, not that serious, but people who are kind of exploring sexual different, new, maybe ethically non-monogamous type things, But what he was finding was, the women were telling him that they wanted all the guys just want to hook up real quick. Well, yeah, that's what this kind of is, So the guys have all moved from Tinder and Bumble to this, and the women are getting pissed off that all the guys are wanting to hook up real. Well, that's what this is supposed to be. And the women are all saying that they need a date or they need connection. That's the word he was using, connection, And so they have I guess he was saying a tab. He showed me this little deal. And all the women are like, I need a connection. You need to take me. It's like, it was supposed to be a hookup site, I mean, that was kind of what it was for, I mean, they were calling it sexual exploration, but it was supposed to be for people, and he was saying originally that's what it was. That's what he was saying, he's like, it's gone to the crapper. He's like, all these people started coming in from Bumble, and I was like, oh, see? And so I started breaking it down for him. I said, what's happening is that, and I kind of noticed in this case, that's why I bring this up, is a lot of these FetLife people, they're not into kink. Because they were going over some of the messages. If you want to listen to Juliana Margulies' testimony, they'll go over some of the messages that they get. And it's guys acting like, they're basically like, we can meet for coffee and we can talk about what kink you are and blah, blah, blah. They know. See, guys ain't dumb, beta males at least. This is kind of a beta male move. I really do think it's a beta male move. But, they'll say, oh, I've got this kink. But what they want to do is, but we won't get into that kink until, we get to know each other. So they're looking for people who are kind of freaky, and the more freaky they are, the more they're willing to get, they think, the more willing they are to getting into sex faster. But that's not true. That actually is not true. Because I'll tell you like this, game recognizes game, right? And I was telling my friend, I was like, well, a lot of these guys that are getting on whatever site he was on, or even FetLife.com, you're going to have, and I actually explored FetLife, back in the day. I went to a couple of swingers clubs in Houston. Then we have Club Colette here, we have Club, what's the Pendulum, right? And they have websites, and you can join their newsletter, blah, 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 pay. And basically, you can kind of be on their dating, they have like a dating thing, right? And, it's like I was doing it with a chick, and a lot of times if you go to the clubs, you go to the swingers club, it's not a free-for-all. It's you got to know people. You got to kind of know people. People don't just, people think, oh, swingers club, everyone just banging. No, it's kind of, I mean, I went a couple times, with females, and if they don't know you, you got to start talking to them. You got to develop some trust, and I mean, it wasn't as awesome as people think it is. It was, anyway. Again, a lot of these, a lot of people think that's going to be like this dungeon stuff. No, I mean, it was a little crazy. You saw people, banging right out in the open, but I don't want to go through all the stories. I mean, there is some craziness, but again, you saw some groups banging right in front of you, but they knew each other, So, but anyway, so again, through sexuality, you need trust, and just like on FetLife, it's like, they're not freakier. They quote unquote freakier. Yeah, they may be freakier, but that doesn't mean that their urgency to have sex with you will be any more urgent. I guess that's what I need to say, and a lot of guys think that, and that's why that one he was talking about, Field, I think it was. Now they're getting around, a lot of guys think it's a hookup site, but it's not, because it's a sexual exploration site. Again, like I just said, it doesn't promote women having sex more urgently with you, because that's a feeling. Either they want to have sex with you urgently or they don't. You could have somebody that wants to have the most vanilla sex, but is so turned on by you, she has to have the most vanilla sex with you. Which vanilla sex is whatever. I mean, but it doesn't mean, so you can have the freakiest chick in the world who likes to be tied up, strung up and blah, 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 a gadget here and a gadget there, and, tick, 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 put her up like a crane, but my point is that, she may get that crazy, right? But it's going to take about, 3 months to get her there, and I agreed. And again, I won't say who this, but I had a friend that got, that the guy was claiming he was Dom. He was a Dom, that's part of the FetLife. He was Dom, And I got so angry at her, again, because she got victimized. And he came over and he, the text messages said it. He spanked her 200 times. He had a spanking fetish. And he just was way too aggressive, for her. And, it went above and beyond. I mean, I was retired as a police officer, and I told her, go make a report. And I usually don't say that. But this was an assault. And I told her, I got onto her. But, and I'll tell this to ladies right now because I want to help ladies too. If a guy needs to call himself a dom, then he's not a dom, okay? The guy who needs to, if I call myself, and this is just for argument's sake, if I call myself Air Jordan, then, I'm not, to let everybody know I can jump the highest, my point is that, if you got to call yourself something, then you're not it. You don't raise your hand, first day new coach comes, hey guys, I'm best on the team. I'm just letting y'all know I'm best on the team. The best on the team, like let's say, my favorite forward, Robin Van Persie, right? My favorite soccer player, Dutch player, one of the best forwards ever. I guarantee he didn't go to soccer practice and go, hey guys, I'm the best, I'm number one. No, he just showed you by scoring. That's why he became captain of Arsenal, and captain of the Netherlands international team with the World Cup coming up, which they're going to be 2026 chance. But anyway, we move on. So, so the Fet Life thing, what I did see in the Fet Life, the point I was trying to get across is what I saw happening, and I don't want men to make this mistake, is just because you're getting on a freaky website does not make urgency. And I saw a lot of these guys trying to, that's what they were using it for. That was their mating strategy. It's a bad mating strategy. I'll tell you this too is, seeing and talking to a lot of women, a lot of guys these days, too frequently, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the corn issue, but they're getting into butt stuff. The butt, the third hole, too quickly. I mean, your first, and again, this is, your first round of sexuality needs to be good, needs to be enthusiastic, needs to be hot. Just because you're new, and there's going to be probably energy there. It's going to be good, normal, good. Sex, normal pizza, good, pizza is pizza, bad pizza is good pizza, is what they say, so if you're having, first date sex, and you're getting after it, you got the passion and the intensity going on, you don't need, if you need weird stuff already, you're in trouble, because you need a journey, and, in my journey through, my 304 phase, and, from 2017 up until now, I've talked to thousands of women, hooked up with, hundreds easily, and not a flex at all. I did, most of my life, I did long-term relationships because I was a beta male, I told you, but 2017, I changed my ways and I learned, so I want you guys to learn, but yeah, but you see how the game works, but you got to build trust. You can't, you can't move in, one lady was telling me one time, we kind of decided we weren't, we had kind of hooked up once and then, and she was like, but she was making sure that on the first time I wouldn't choke her. I'm like, I don't do that. It's not my thing. It really isn't. I don't feel comfortable with it. I know a lot of people do. It's fine, but I'm like, she's like, yeah, a lot of these guys on their first date. I'm like, first date? They're choking you out? Like, what? You just need normal. That's too soon. You gotta build that trust, guys. Build trust. And so, and I say that because, so, getting back into this case, but these are lessons that we need to learn. But and I'll finish this up. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. But a guy loses his life because he's on Fet Life and he thinks that this rape fantasy is normal, right? But sometimes you standardize abnormality or whatever, or deviation, and if you tolerate deviation, then you standardize the deviation. So the fact that he's probably, he's big into this rape kink, and go read My Secret Garden. In My Secret Garden, there's 16 fantasies women have, and it's a great book, by the way. It's hot, and it talks about, and women's fantasies are crazy. It's a book written, I think, in the early 70s or mid 70s, and women wrote into a magazine, and they wrote, this author was doing, or maybe it was a professor, but somebody was doing a study, doing a survey, and they wanted to know if women have fantasies, because a lot of women say they don't, which they lie. That's a public face. And they said, this will be totally anonymous. Just write in or, speak into a microphone and send me a tape of your fantasies. And she got like 400 fantasies or whatever. And she categorized them into 16 categories. And one of the categories is rape. But it's not rape. Oh, sorry, grape. But one of the categories is grape. Sorry, YouTube. But I'm trying to save guys, YouTube. Not trying to promote it. I'm trying to talk against it and make sure. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Hey. So, but one of them is grape, and so but women have this fantasy that this handsome man that smells great with this huge throbbing 12-inch, is oh, I don't want to, sir. Oh, you smell so good. Oh, you're so strong. Oh my God, you're so handsome. No, sir. No, please, no. Okay. Oh, I can't stop him. I can. It's almost like, they're not scared. They're kind of out of control. They like to. Oh, he's got me. I can't push him off me. I'm gonna have an orgasm, and I don't want to. Oh, here I come again. Oh Lord, his D is so big, and oh my God, it's feeling so good, but I don't want it because he's a stranger. Again, it's a very healthy, it's a very safe, it's a very normal sexual fantasy, But it's not what this guy, they get this guy, he is to they allege, so she's being catfished. Bring it back here. Brendan Banfield is married to Kristen Banfield. And he talks her into this diabolical plan. He talks his wife into staying home for the day, and he believes that his daughter and the au pair are going to go on this zoo trip, which they're not going on a zoo trip. They're just, they're waiting for this guy. They hook 1 month prior to the murder, prior to Christine's murder, and prior to Joseph Ryan's murder. He's going to get murdered too in this, and he's an innocent victim that was on FetLife. That had a great fantasy, and Christine is reaching out to him on Telegram apparently, and she's saying, hey, she reaches out to him. He was like, his name was Taco Supreme 7000 or something. Anastasia 9 sent you a message, and she wants to know if you're good with, graping her. And he's like, yeah, I'm down, And they hit up a couple other guys, and the other guys are like, yeah, if we could meet for coffee, have some drinks, and, and then we, first date, we usually don't do anything. Second date, we kind of hook up, and that's why I said, they're trying to speed up the sexual urgency. So they reached out to about 5 guys. Those 5 guys were not murdered because they said no, because they refused to meet in public. Well, why didn't they want to meet in public? Because they're faking who she is. It's really Brendan and his au pair are reaching out to these guys on FetLife, and they're claiming to be Christine, and they're claiming that she has some great fantasy, and she doesn't. And what they're trying to get the guy to do is come straight over to the house, no meeting, door will be unlocked, come straight up, come upstairs, I'll be sleeping, and if I try to push you off as part of my fantasy, just keep going with your, with the act. I'm serious. This is not a lie. Just keep going. Bring a knife. Bring some restraints. Bring zip ties. So he does all of it. And they're talking for a month. And he's all in. But what was so, what really upset me, or what was really depressing, was that they asked. It's just hard to hear sometimes, but you got to learn. But they asked Juliana Margulies, the Brazilian, 22-year-old Brazilian. They asked because she was working in cahoots with Brendan Banfield. They're working together as a team to get a guy to come over, and So she's like, no. They said, why did you settle on Joseph Ryan, Taco Supreme 7000? Why did you settle on him? She said, because he was doing everything that Brendan wanted him to do. He was manipulating him just right. He found the right puppet, and that puppet's going to get murdered because he's found the right way. That's why I say beta males are dangerous. He found your weaknesses. He found that he got you, and he's manipulating you. He's running you. And he found that your weakness was this grape thing and sexuality and your lack of discipline over sexuality. So, it's like he found it, the beta male found it, and because the other guys are like, no. And they save their lives because what ends up happening, because what Brendan Banfield wants to happen is he's a federal agent. And so he puts soundproofing windows in a month ahead of time. I mean, this is his plan. He's trying, a plan to murder his wife and another innocent guy, so he can be with a 22-year-old. So he can be with a 22-year-old au pair. You don't think people are going to figure that out? You don't think? He was banging the 22-year-old au pair, and now his wife has died, And after she dies, she's put her clothes into where your wife's clothes used to be, and her pictures are up in the master bedroom now, and this is no joke, and there's, semen stains all over the bed, and seriously, you thought you figured everything out. Obviously he lacks insight to know how people are going to think about this, but anyway, so that's the plan. So he's going to hang out about 6 minutes down the road. Joseph Ryan's going to show up. Juliana Margulies, they've practiced shooting. He's gotten her to the shooting range. They practiced the shooting range. He bought her a gun. She's got a gun with them. They're partners in crime, So now, and he's worked her over too, this little beta male, because he makes her put a bullet into Joseph Ryan, the innocent guy who's coming over on this grape fantasy, and she puts the coup de grace in the guy. So let me just go first how Joseph Ryan is supposed to come over on February 23rd. So Juliana Margulies and Brendan Banfield end up meeting August 22nd. It is August 22nd of 2022. This is now February 23rd, I believe that's the date, February 23rd of 2023. Okay? So you're talking 6 to 8 months. He's fallen in love and wants to murder his wife in 6 to 8 months. Come on, y'all. Beta. So now he wants to get... So they've been talking to Joseph Ryan on FetLife.com. They found that he was into the grape fantasy. He's going to bring over a knife. He's going to bring over zip ties and restraints. And he's supposed to... Christine's... he thinks he's talking to Christine, but he's talking to Brendan Banfield. He's talking to a dude. He's talking to the guy setting him up. Catfish. And he says, come in the door. Christine is allegedly talking to him. Okay, go follow me here. And she's like, I'm going to leave the door unlocked. And just come in, and if I try to fight you off, just keep fighting me, and tie me up, and, restrain me. Well, Juliana Margulies has a weapon, and so she knows when Joseph Ryan has showed up. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. Joseph Ryan's there to do, and he's supposed to be banging her. They're going to do the great thing. He's going to tie her up, and they're going to supposed to be having a good time. Joseph Ryan's a good guy, a good man. He's just got this kink, but he's a good dude. He's an innocent, he's a super guy. Kind of, again, I'm not talking bad about him. I want to honor him. He's an awesome dude because everybody, I've seen his pictures, his family was awesome. And they're torn. They're torn up because this stupid beta male, super beta male Max to the maximum, ran game on your son. And he found your son's, he found your son's thumb screw. He found a hole in the castle wall. He found that gap in the castle wall, which, all the holes in the Swiss cheese aligned, and this was not his day, So Brendan Banfield's going to come in, and he's going to make it look like Joseph Ryan has come in and is now an intruder in his house. Juliana Margulies, who's banging Brendan Banfield, the au pair, has noticed a strange man coming in the house. Joseph Ryan, who they led there by a catfish, is now restraining, and Juliana Margulies is now acting like she forgot they forgot the little girl's lunch, and just lo and behold, she notices Joseph Ryan coming in to great fantasy. Well, they didn't know, right? Allegedly. And so she tells Brendan, you need to get back here. There's a strange man in the house. Whom Brendan Banfield is the one sending the messages from Anastasia 9 on FetLife. He's lured Joseph Ryan there. And so now Joseph Ryan has a knife in his hand, but he's not stabbing anybody, but Brendan Banfield thinks he is, allegedly. And check this out. Here's where it gets diabolical, y'all. So they run upstairs, and Christine is Brendan Banfield's wife, and she hears him, and she's now saved. She has no idea because she wasn't part of this catfish. She wasn't part of the catfish. It was Juliana and Brendan the whole time. So she's like, what the hell's this guy doing with the knife? And so she thinks she's about to die. Well, how would you feel if this guy's on top of you with a knife and restraints? He was led there by... Okay, but hold on. It's just getting good. So now, her husband's arriving, and he's got a pistol because he's a law enforcement officer. And she's like, hey, honey, he's got a knife. He's trying to kill me. Thank God my husband, the superstar beta male, has arrived. Even though he's the one that set this all up. And so, boom, he shoots the guy in the head. And his wife's like, oh, thank God. He was about to stab me in the neck. Oh, my God. Well, that's what's about to happen. Now, Joseph Ryan is pretty much down for the count, but he's still breathing a little bit. He wasn't going to make it. But Juliana Martley sees him kind of breathing, boom, pops him one right in the chest. So now and Brandon Banfield did that out of design. Now she's part of this. You can't rat on me, girl. I got you in this. Look what a beta male's doing. Look at the shape shifting. Look at this, y'all. Like this, an alpha male will be like, hell nah, dog, hell nah. I mean, and I'll digress real quick. Have y'all ever wanted to prank a friend, and you get some guys together, or girls, whatever, girlfriends, guys, and you hear your buddies, whatever, and at some point you're like, bro, no, you've gone too far, guys, and you pull out, like, no. That's what you need. That's what needed to happen here. Like, no, you went too far. But anyway, so my point is, okay, so Joseph Ryan's dead now, and Brandon Banfield, the wife's like, oh my God, you saved my life. He grabs a knife from Joseph Ryan, stabs his wife in the neck 7 times. He stabs his wife in the neck 7 times. She thinks she's been saved. Can you imagine the horror upon her life, upon your life? Your Savior is now, what are you doing? Gah, 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 to your neck. I mean, I can't even. Okay, one more time. This guy's on top of you with a knife. Your husband rushes in. Pow, pow, pow. Saves your life. Shoots the guy in the head. Oh, thank God I'm saved. Honey, he had a knife. She thinks this is her loving husband. She doesn't know he's been having an affair. But no, he has, and he's set up this murder. And now your husband is now 7. Can you imagine the WTF in her head? Like, I can't even. I every time I think about that, I'm like, oh my God, because I can imagine there was a brief. We don't know, maybe 5 seconds, that she's like, thank frickin' God. I mean, I always knew my husband was a big loser, idiot, but maybe I was wrong. And she had 5 seconds. He was He-Man. And now, oh no, he's stabbing me in the neck 7 times. He was a beta male. And I say that facetiously, not to make it a joke about this, to kind of, the dark humor, to make it like, it's horrifying to know what she had to go. I mean, that's why I was so interested in this case. Like, that's terrible. I can't imagine. Like, that's why I'm so glad this motherfucker, I watched him today, dude. You need to watch the sentencing. Go to, just search YouTube, Brandon Banfield sentencing. And dude, he has no insight. I mean, again, my opinion, I'm not a psychologist, sociopathic, narcissistic, Machiavellian, no insight, no remorse, shape-shifting, self-centered, shape-shifting, Captain Maximum beta male, kills Joseph Ryan, sets him up by the catfish, because he's fallen in love with a half-ass, and I'm sorry, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong. Cute little Brazilian girl, 22. But dude, come on, man. What? I mean, no way, no beauty's worth that. But dude, this is an average chick, an average 22. This is why he's such a loser, dude. He could have gotten one of those. Just get a divorce. I mean, you guys. But I mean, men can fall in love and want to honor their women, dude. But you got to keep your wits about you and know you're okay alone. Know that she's not your everything. She doesn't want to be your everything. That's law. I think it's in the 16 Commandments of Poon. It's on my video watch list. But I did an overview of it, and I think it's number 4. She doesn't want to be your everything. And when you're doing these stupid, sappy notes, bro, she's getting disgusted. You've lost your mind. You always need to be that warrior. Like, hey, lady, I'll come bang you, this and that, and I'll love you, and I'll protect you. Like, I just had a wonderful person, the best person I ever met, best female I've ever met. She had to go home for a family emergency. I had to take her to the airport today, and she flew off internationally, but, because, so it's very serious. It was last minute. I mean, we were, but I'm down for her, and I need to make sure she made it home to the international home, and I'm like, hey, if that dude does anything, trust and believe, I'll be hunting him down. I mean, if he did anything wrong, I'm saying, if he doesn't, I'm a law-abiding person, right? But again, there'd be retribution, right? If someone hurts your person, right? But my point is that we can want to protect our people, but we don't have to lose our crap. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, everything worked out good. Everything's working out in my situation. I just want, but that's how fast life happens, y'all. But again, this week I got helped out. This same person helped me out. I needed something last minute, and they helped. But so last minute, boom. That's what you do. That's you step the fuck up. It was and I'm not a Navy SEAL. Don't pretend to be one. I'm not this. I'm a proud Houston police officer, 22 years retired. I'm proud of that. But if you want to be special forces, be special forces, whatever. But no, I love Navy SEALs, badass, dude. But you don't fake to be one. You either go be one or just say you're not one, right? But anyway, everyone wants to be a frogman on a sunny day, But anyway, that's that, But real quick, and I need to end this because it's getting too long. But there's so many lessons in here, guys. But because Joseph Ryan lost his life, and what I want to say, lastly, I want to kind of go over the sexuality part. And what we need to understand is the only thing that creates urgency in sexuality is not being a part of FetLife, not being part of these, hookup sites. It's who you are, what is her what is her genuine burning desire for you? Rule of Tomasi, iron rule of Tomasi 3. If she's making you wait for sex, sex is not worth the wait. Okay. If the same guy she makes wait for sex, the same guy should, bang in the hot guy should bang in the phone cannon party in Cancun in 5 minutes or less, right? So it's about who you are and what her sexual attraction is to you, okay? Just because you go on some FetLife does not make sexual urgency any quicker, okay? Also, and you need to know these things because, and you need to understand too, and this is a very important lesson. I'll end it on this lesson, but. There recently was a JP Morgan case, all right, where, and I don't know the names, sorry I'm not gonna get the names, but basically there was a lady executive, and I kind of started hearing about this thing. I kind of glanced and heard about it one day. I'm like, that sounds weird. Some lady was forcing some guy to be her sex slave. So I was like, what, this sounds dumb, but I'll listen to it. And I guess it was getting popular on social media. But when I heard it, and I'm not trying to say I'm smarter than anybody, but game recognizes game, okay? And, I used to listen to this call-in show. Mr. Lucario, he's an awesome channel, guys. He taught me so much about game. He's the champ of game. Him, Mr. Lucario, and all his, I'm trying to think, Steve, his dude. But anyway, all his guys, Mr. 1950, I want to give those guys a shout out. They know game, guys. But anyway, so they have call-ins, and guys will talk about hookups or sexual experiences they have, and game recognizes game. And these guys will try to say they hooked up with some chicks or went out. But you can tell that they didn't because you know how this stuff works, right? And it's like, that didn't really happen, bro. That doesn't, that's not the way it works. And they'll always play this song, why you fucking lying, why you fucking lying. And the guy's, no, I'm serious. What he doesn't realize is because he's not getting laid, he doesn't know how game works out here, right? And so, luckily I had a 304 phase and listened to Mr. Lucario, and, but anyway, and Mr. 1950, those are great guys. But yeah, so, you can recognize when someone's bullshitting you, as far as that stuff goes. So my point is that when I heard about this JP Morgan thing, I'm like, dude, that's not, like, women are not, the reason that sexual harassment happens for men is because men are usually don't have as many sexual options, because women get so many offers for casual sex. It's not really they like casual sex every now and again, but they have plenty of offers because men love casual sex. So women are never at a loss for casual sex. So, you might think it's this awesome thing because guys, we are usually at a scarcity to a certain degree for casual sex. Now, the higher your sexual market value, the higher your pool will be for casual sex. But women will always have more options for casual sex than a man will, right? So men usually need, and so 80% of men are beta males, so they use their job and their status, money and status, because a lot of guys don't have the looks part and the mindset part, but they have the money and status, so they use their money and status, and they say, well, I'll give you this because I've got status, and on the hierarchy, I'm over you, I have power over you, so I'll use that power to get sex out of you. I'm using it as a baiting strategy, which obviously is a terrible baiting strategy because, one, it can be illegal, and two, it can be you can be a liability, you can be negligent, you can be liable, right? So that's why men use it. They're using it as a baiting strategy. Once, like I said, it's quid pro quo. It's I get something, you get something, right? So, and men, we have testosterone, and sometimes our best strength is our biggest weakness, and the drive that testosterone gives us to have sex, it can sometimes be our biggest weakness because you have to have discipline with that drive. You can't, not all sex is good sex. You want enthusiastic, desirous sex. You want general burning desire. So when I heard that JP Morgan case, I'm like, why is this hot executive chick, and I didn't even know what the guy looked like. I didn't. But again, if a man's being forced to have sex, number one, you can't be scared or be forced to do anything and get your D hard. I'm just sorry, not even because when you're anxious, your body moves blood away from the limbs and away from your D into the organs. It moves it inside. So your mind's, that's why a lot of guys get into situations and they're like, man, when they get scared around a chick and they can't get their dick up because they're anxious. And I'll tell you how to work that out. First of all, breathe. Do a breathing exercise, right? And you'll be fine. But my point is that, so it's hard to force sex upon a man because whatever. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I don't need one of these, oh, it happened to me. No, okay. The one, it'd be like, I'm going to use Tom Leykis's, I heard a guy jumped out the 10-story window and he survived. You going to do it? No, you're not. So I don't care about the one guy or the two guys, right? Okay, but I knew that story was false because women, that lady was hot as hell. And she could get sex whenever she wanted it. She could play that game. She could go home and have that sexual fantasy with her husband, boyfriend, with a third partner. She doesn't need, women don't need, that's just like on dating apps. Those were scams too, where like a lot of ladies, they had guys on there saying that their wife wanted a threesome. And I keep telling ladies, they thought it was a flex. It boosted their ego. They want me to be part of a threesome. That's a dude. He's gonna, I heard, they would tell me what would happen. A lot of times the guys would talk to chicks and all of a sudden their wife would pull out. And so it was an easy way to start talking to a chick because, oh, you're really talking to my wife. She's not able to come tonight, but hey, I'm still here. So it was a beta male. Women didn't realize they were getting scammed. Women don't want a stranger for a threesome, usually. The ones, and I haven't been in that many, but And the ones I was in, you know, a lot of them were, they were by the most innocent looking girls, by the way, too. And so, you know, first time I ever had one, I was like, this chick was so innocent looking, dog. I was like, holy shit. You know, anyway. And she brought her friend in and boom, whatever. But my point is, and it wasn't as, it's not as like, you know, it's not as fabulous. Ryan Stone put it in his book. It's called the F Files, Fuck Files. And it's like PUCC or whatever, but Ryan Stone wrote it, Fuck Files. And he even wrote in that book, and I agree with him, it's like, they're not as grandeur or grandiose as they sound. I mean, threesome is like, you know, it is what it was, whatever. But normally, girls want to help pick them out, or they want to see who you're picking out. They're not going to do a random stranger. So if you're seeing these things on the internet, like, we want a threesome, no, dude, that's a scam. It's a scam, you know. And just like these, you know, hookup sites, it's like women are not at a loss for sexual opportunities. They have way too many that they can already deal with. Okay, they already have to talk down so many. They have to talk, and a lot of times they want to have, like, believe it or not, women oftentimes have to really refrain. They want to do it, but they can't. Like they can't do every one they want, you know, because they just can't. You know, we don't realize how often they say no, you know. But anyway, my point is, you know, to make this point to guys is, do not get lured in, you know, by, you know, a chick acting like she ain't had it in a while, or I'm just a little lonely girl. No, dude, go look at any thirst trap, like I said before. Go look at any chick. A lot of these chicks are making money off of Facebook, and they ask these stupid questions, and you'll see guys in their inbox, why can't I find a good man? There's not a good man anymore in this city, and you know, they'll have 500 guys. I'm here. Oh, you needn't look over here. Oh, Roger's over here. Fire, 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 fire engine. Like, bro, didn't you not see the 400 other replies she got? Like, she thinks you're a lame, bro. And she getting pounded by you know, Alpha Chad, Alpha Tyrone, Alpha Enrique, Alpha Muhammad. Like, dude, tagging it, dude. And she ain't looking at her comments. She's making money off of y'all. I mean, but that's the patheticness, y'all. Women are not at a loss for sexual opportunities, okay? Now, they are at a loss for good sexual opportunities, and that's where you come in. That's what women will always say that, you know, like you can tell them you got 1,000 D's in your inbox, yeah, but they're all blah, blah, blah. And that's true. That's why don't worry about how many guys are coming at them, because if you get in the gym and you get your mindset right, and you get your dominance right, and you get your, you know, you like alpha male strategy says, get your purpose right, you know, while practicing your social game, meet people in public, stay off the internet. I really do think now, guys, and this is to save you guys, is that, and I'm not being facetious or hyperbolic, is that I think the internet dating stuff at a time it had its time, right? But it's not the hookup land anymore. And people are using it to manipulate now, and they're looking for victims. I see that more and more now. I used to say, you know, a lot of times women would say, I don't want to meet you at your house because you might be a serial killer, you know. I mean, now I kind of gotta get, you know, I kind of gotta give it to them. So, like, there's a lot more of that going on now. I mean, because at the time there were so many cool people. But what we don't understand, because we can't see the data inside, and I'm going to end this right now, but we can't see the data inside these dating apps. But a lot of the normal people have left, and you've got deviants on there. Not everybody, don't get me wrong, not everybody, but you have a lot of deviants looking for victims on a dating app. I think to be as safe as you can, meet people in public. You know, you can get that vibe. You know, and it's going to be harder, but it'll be a lot more rewarding. I swear to God, like, dude, women are, and I'll end it here in the next five minutes at least, but probably less. But anyway, women are inundated with sexual opportunities. Trust me, I know. Even a couple years ago, when I was getting off them, dude, they are inundated. They are exhausted. That's why you see on all their profiles, take me on a proper date. Take me on a proper date. Everyone's a Jesus freak now. You know, I need to get connection first. I need kindness. I mean, you're starting to see all this, when it wasn't that anymore. I mean, it's changed. And so what that is they are exhausted. They are exhausted, and you're gonna be dealing with somebody a lot less, qualified than what you need. Just get off them. Just get off them. Meet people in public. But anyway, this is a Brendan Banfield case. He came in, shot Joseph Ryan, stabbed his wife. Police did an investigation. He testified in his own trial. He was sentenced today to life in prison for conspiring with Juliana Margulies, a Brazilian au pair. He conspired with her. She turned on him. She became a cooperative witness for the state. And the judge had a leeway to give her 10 years to nothing, probation. And the judge decided to go with max, which is probably appropriate. And, at least, again. So she got 10 years. And again, and lastly, women do not care. They're all church nuns, and but she knew she was married. She knew Christine, and here's this Brazilian chick banging her, right? And she had other boyfriends on the dating apps. She was talking to other dudes while she's banging him, and she's banging her right underneath the wife's nose. Women don't care when they like you enough. They don't care. There's no morality in sexuality. I say this, guys. But and then Brandon, go look at Brandon Banfield. He ended up getting life in prison. And those are lessons we need to learn. I know it went a little long, but there's gems in here, guys. This will save your life. This is Joseph Ryan lost his life talking on a dating app and thinking he was going into an innocent situation, an innocent role play, and he was shot in the head and in the chest. Seriously, guys. And Christine Banfield didn't know she was with a beta male or whatever, or how dangerous it is to be with a beta male. Okay, and you cannot let your marriage go sexless. You can't grow apart. But I've gone long enough, guys. I hope you learned something in this one. If not, I'll do a part 2. But we'll see you on the next one.